Today, controlling cravings during the holidays. Sit until it passes. Welcome to Sacred Grit, a podcast equipping men to conquer addiction and overcome inner struggles through physical, mental, and spiritual disciplines so you can become a man of honor and integrity. I'm Jason Lyle. Now let's get to work. This episode is brought to you by David Dodd, Edward Jones McDonald. What's up, my dude? Welcome back to the Sacred Grit podcast and Sacred Sunday. So it's the holidays, my man, the holidays. And if you struggle with addiction, and that doesn't matter if it's sugar or methamphetamine, you know that the holidays are always a time for triggers, time being around family, time getting old memories. It's celebratory, so there's all manner of triggers running around out there. And I'm not a big fan of the word triggers. I'll put air quotes around that because I don't know. I just don't like the word. But here's the facts, man. There's going to be times during the holidays where you're just going to feel like you need to escape. And if you're a person who struggles with any type of addiction, and that pretty much covers all of us men, you're going to find your escape in whatever your drug of choice is. And if you have made it a long period of time without your drug of choice, first of all, congratulations. Second of all, I'm sure there's another one right behind that one in line. Maybe not quite as destructive, but I'm willing to bet there's still something there that you wish you could control that you can't. So let's talk about that today on Sacred Sunday and talk about how we can start getting a little bit of space around those there triggers. All right. So the other day, me and one of my best buds, Carson, were out at Mount Yonah, rock climbing. And I absolutely loved rock climbing, but listen to me. Don't think Alex Honnold. Think more like, I don't know, a grizzly bear trying to get his way up a, side of a rock or whatever. I'm just not a great rock climber, but I do believe that dirty hands, weathered hands are good for a man's soul. I was raised to believe idle hands are the devil's playhouse. So when a man's just doing something that makes his hands sore and rough, he just feels better about himself. So that's why I love rock climbing. Anyhow, I digress. So I'm going up this, I think it was a 5'6", 5'5", nothing really hard, but very hard for me. And Carson had me belayed off, and I'm about halfway up this face, and I've got 4 points of contact. I'm nice and secure, and I can't find my next hold. And so, I plant my left foot, and I reach up to grab the hold, and I can't find one. I come back down to my 4 points of contact, and my immediate reaction was just let go. Just come off and let Carson catch me on the rope, let me down, I'm done. But here's the thing, man. Instead, I gathered myself, just got calm for just a minute, and I thought, I'm fine right here. I got 2 good footholds. My hands are in good places. I'm not trembling. I'm not tired. Just hold on a second. So I got myself in a really good position, got my left hand nice and tight, both my feet nice and in there. And I reached my right hand up and started looking for that next hold. And I found one little place, and I brought my hand back down. And I hollered back down to Carson, "Hey, man, you got me?" "Yeah, brother, I got you." So I push off my left foot, and I reach up nice and controlled with that right hand, and I feel this little nub, and I'm like, yeah, I think it'll hold me. So I just put some pressure into it, and I push with my left foot a little bit, and I'm stuck. I'm sticking. Man, it feels good. And then about that time, I bring the left hand around. Bam, I got it. Good stuff. I scramble on up to the top, and I'm out, and I'm done. Woo! Give it a good hoot and holler at the top, right? But here's the thing, man. I had to stop in the midst of that fear. And it's not a rational fear, but I would say 90% of fears isn't rational anyhow. But it wasn't a rational fear. Yeah, Carson was 20 or 30 feet below me, but he had me belayed off, ropes secured at the top. I'm good. But in order to be able to move forward into the space that I wanted to be in, I had to be willing to sit still long enough, feel that fear, recognize it as irrational, and move forward. That, my friend, is a trigger. All right. Now, here's the thing about triggers is that if we don't ever work with triggers intentionally, we tend to give into those triggers automatically. So if we don't ever stop and take a moment to go, well, let me just see what it feels like to be in this uncomfortable place. I think it's why a lot of times people who struggle with addiction do gravitate toward rock climbing or running or all manner of different types of exercise where you just have to push through hard things. Now, if you're a person who you don't ever challenge yourself, right? You don't ever find yourself in uncomfortable situations. Sometimes, unless you're just a disassociated person, sometimes triggers are hard to hold, right? Because you feel them, you feel that discomfort, but you just give into it because you don't ever put yourself in situations where you're uncomfortable. But here's the thing, man. We have to exercise the muscle of discomfort to learn how to feel a trigger and not succumb to it. So I want to talk for just a minute about this method, and I'm not going to get all sciencey on you, but called myelination. And you could look that up if you want to. But basically what myelination comes down to, if you've ever heard of neural pathways, it just creates this pattern inside your brain to where every time you feel a little bit of discomfort, you go toward this comfort. Now, the way Jesus said it is he said, narrow is the path that leads to eternal life, but wide is the path that leads to destruction. Now here's what Jesus is talking about. The easy way, right? And for me, that would have been just let go of the rock and fall into the rope. The easy way, where we all tend to go, is not the pathway toward growth. Jesus says destruction, and of course, certainly in addiction, it is in destruction. But I also think it's just kind of an easy way, leads us toward a life of complacency where we can't really grow into the person that we want to be. I really want to be a better rock climber, not so that I can be some sort of a great grand wizard poobah of rock climbing, but for personal satisfaction. And I'm willing to bet, dude, that there is this person that you want to be. There's this guy that you can look out for and you can say, man, that is really the guy that I want to be. That's a narrow path to go toward that person that you want to be, right? That's making the choices every day to move forward toward that person that you want to be. And here's the thing about myelination, neural pathways, samskara in the Sanskrit is what it means, or is what it says. It's like this grooving of behaviors that have led you to destructive this grooving of thought processes that lead you to these patterns of destructive behaviors. Now, here's the thing about those. To get out of them, you have to wire in a different direction. You have to wire yourself toward the opposite of what that thing is. And here's the thing, man, that becomes hard work. Now, we're going to talk about this a little bit more on Gritty Wednesday when I start giving you some tools on how to get out of it. But think of it this way. If I told you to think about tying your shoes, it would almost feel strange, right? Because at some point in your life, your mama set you down or your daddy set you down and, maybe they gave you a little song to sing or whatever the case may be, but you started learning how to tie your shoes. That's because tying your shoes, repetitive action and practice turns into just this process you don't have to think about. That is myelination. That is the process of wiring your behaviors into your autonomic nervous system, tying your shoes. If I told you to tie your shoes, you would just lean over and do it. No thought process. That is the exact same process that happens with addictive behaviors. They wire themselves into your autonomic nervous system. They become easy. They become automatic because they are automatic, just like all manner of behaviors that happen in your autonomic nervous system. Breathing, heartbeat, blinking your eyes. All those things come from your autonomic nervous system, and you have wired your addictive habits into your autonomic nervous system. So when Jesus says, wide is the path that leads to destruction, he literally means the things that are easy to do are the things that take you toward the harmful activities. Paul said it like this: the things that I don't want to do, I keep doing, and the things that I want to do, I can't seem to do. Narrow is the path that leads to eternal life. So we have to learn how to sit with the discomfort of craving long enough Now, if you'll come back on Gritty Wednesday, I'm going to give you a tool on how to do that. But I'm going to go ahead and let the cat out of the bag a little bit. On Wednesday, you can listen to the podcast while you drive, but you're going to want to listen to it again when you're not driving, when you're just sitting somewhere, because I'm going to give you a very practical thing that you can do that will start to teach your brain how to choose toward the narrow path instead of always choosing the easy path, because you don't have to fight every craving, my dude. You just have to outlast it, right? Craving is your body's way of asking for comfort, but peace comes when you learn to sit still and let that wave just roll right on through you. Learn how to just hold that space long enough to make a loving decision back toward yourself. And that, my friend, is sacred grit. My dude, thank you for listening. Now look here, what I do is I coach men in how to hold this sacred space for yourself. So if you go down into the show notes there, you'll be able to click on a link and book a consultation call. Because my dude, I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you passing this information on. And I would love to help you learn how to be able to hold space for yourself. It is what I do. It is what I love to do. It is how I love to help men become better versions of themselves. All right. This episode is brought to you by my main man, Joe D. Morgan at Oak Haven Diagnostics. He and his wife, Jenny, they run a business down in Barnesville, Georgia. Now, you can go to oakhavendiagnostics.com. You can order your kit. You might go, well, what is Oak Haven Diagnostics? Brother, they preg check cattle. If you are in the cattle industry, or if you know anybody in the cattle industry, this is the best way to do it. You can order your gear online. They ship it to you. You draw blood from your cattle. They can tell you how to do that. If you live local, sometimes Joe will even come out and show you how to do that. You ship those samples back to them, and they tell you whether or not your cattle are pregnant and just how pregnant they are. If you are in the cattle business, or if you have ever been in the cattle business, you know just how important or how valuable that their service is. My dude, thank you for listening. I will see you on Gritty Wednesday.